this guy's garage. Like and subscribe.
I'm just going to make a joke. It's all right.
Okay.
I'm having a hard time fitting it over these ears. But anyways, that's another issue altogether.
We like when
some of you may have that problem as well, too.
People are listening, so that's good.
So if I've got my hand here, it's just I'm trying to keep it in place.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Cooper. 6 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Fraser. And as I understand it, your wife, Linda Hooper, had reached out to Mr. Fergus's chief of staff regarding the video. He shot the video. It was sent back to your wife and then turned over to a volunteer connected to the Ontario Liberal Party. Mr. Fergus, is that correct?
That's correct. Yes,
Okay.
came back.
And Mr. Fergus said that it was his understanding that the video would be shown at an intimate event on December 1st. At a private gathering. Mm-hmm. What is the intimate event, or what private gathering took place, or did such a gathering take place on December 1st?
Well, there was no gathering on December 1st. As a normal course of matter, often, and I think maybe this is where one of the miscommunications came in, is often when you have a convention, you do a tribute, you do it on a Friday night. So I think it was just an error on Linda's behalf, and so I think that's where the date of December 1st came out.
Okay. So what precisely was Mr. Fergus told, or at least based on what your understanding of what he was told, presumably in conversations that you've had with your wife? Because he was very clear that it was to be shown at a private gathering.
I don't have exact knowledge of the conversation between my wife Linda and Mr. DeFosse, so I can't provide you that information. That might be a question that's better for Mr. DeFosse, but I'm not privy to that conversation. Or the exact details of that conversation.
So you don't know what, you have no idea what your wife said to Mr. DeFosse?
Well, no, I don't, other than what I've just told you right now. So,
and what you've told.
So I can finish here. What my family and my wife in particular did in this tribute was something very special. Was something that they were very proud of. And it was something that touched me very deeply. Like I said, I had to watch it again because I didn't fully grasp it the first time around.
Yeah, and so what?
And if I can finish this part.
10 seconds.
So I'll do my best to get into 10 seconds. My wife felt very badly about it, and I wasn't about to make her feel even worse, simply because she did it out of love.
Well,
and maybe that's why we've been married for 43 years, or maybe it's because she's patient.
Well,
but that's
okay. But
so I don't have privy to the exact details.
But to be clear, and I appreciate that you feel bad and your wife feels bad, and that's fine and that's understandable. But my question isn't about that. I would assume you would not feel good. It is about the fact that this video that was to be presented was intended for the Liberal leadership event, correct? That's what your wife was making.
I can't give you the exact details of that conversation because I wasn't privy to the exact details. So I think it's a question that's better for.
Well, can you
Mr.
can you undertake to contact your wife today and provide those details to the committee by the end of today? It's a very straightforward question.
Respectfully, Mr. Coop, I think there's a way that if you need to find this out, you can have a conversation with one of the participants. But I just want to make it clear. I am not going to make my wife of 43 years feel badly. I am not going to do that. So I just I want to let you know.
It's Mr. Fergus.
Okay, I am going to pause. And I'm sad that it comes to this because none of us are new. All of us have a lot of regard and respect for this work. I need one person speaking at a time. I think we need to understand. I do think we know the parameters under which we are working. All members know publicly what the motion we agreed to was. Mm-hmm. We understand that there are some documents we're asking for. People are endeavoring to provide them, and we have to have some regard for this. But to pretend as if prior to our next meeting later on today, we're going to have all of this stuff is not factual or real. So there are certain things I think are really important. I'm not determining what isn't. I'm just suggesting we maximize our time to get the information we need from the people we called here so that PROC can do its work and report back in a timely fashion. Moving forward, I would like to hear one person in my ear at a time, and I've put my earpiece on to ensure that remains the case. Mr. Cooper, 1 minute, 52 seconds.
So what I'm understanding, Mr. Fraser, is that there was no private event. Secondly, that the video was going to be shown on the Friday night, but a decision was made to present the video at the convention instead on Saturday night. Is that correct?
No. What I said is that I believe what happened with Linda's communication was that she believed at the time that there was a tribute on December 1st, which would normally be the course of those tributes. It's usually, and I'm sure in your party and all the other parties, outgoing leaders get that. That's where the date of December 1st comes in.
And that would have been a tribute at the leadership event, correct?
It would have been,
Right.
if it had been a convention, that's what it normally would have been, but
Okay.
it wasn't. It was an event that was really, it wasn't an official meeting. It was basically count the votes.
It was a public event.
It was a public event, that's
hosted by
correct.
the Ontario Liberal Party.
Yes,
correct.
that's the best way to put it. Thank you.
And Mr. Fraser, through you, Madam Chair, is it your intention to seek re-election as the MPP for Ottawa South as the Liberal candidate in the next election?
Yes, God willing. I mean, I think, it's 3 years away, and I love what I do.
Fair enough. And would you concede, therefore, that it is inappropriate that the Speaker of the House of Commons has effectively given his endorsement to you seeking re-election as the Liberal MPP?
I can't speak to the exact nature of the conversation. I think what was communicated very clearly that was a tribute to me. I can't say to whether
So
he
you
was
don't-
whether
you-
whether
no, no.
I can't say to whether.
Mr. Fraser, I want to be as respectful as I can. You don't see anything problematic about that? Is that what
No,
you're
I
saying?
don't, because I think it was a very deeply personal connection or video, as all of them were. They were about me as a person, about our families being together, about about the kind of person that I was. It's very hard to listen to those things when people say nice things about you. I'm sure
Thank you.
and you should. Sorry.
And I mean, I think that based on what Mr. Fergus has said and based on your testimony today, it's much more plausible that your wife, who is a lifelong friend of Mr. Fergus, reaches out and says, "Hey, we're doing this event for John. It's going to be private. It's not like it, or the information was delivered in such a manner as to suggest that." And then she said, "Will you make this video?"
Thank you.
Yeah, usually we're underground, right? Or so we don't get to hear him.
Mr. Fergus was in his speaker's robes and in the speaker's chamber.
It didn't. Well, just of all the things that were processing in my brain at the time, there was a lot there. There's a very no. That's
Yeah.
to give you the short answer.
Yeah. No.
Sorry, I give long answers. Just ask any of my colleagues.
Oh, that's fair enough.
We all have to fill the clock, right?
I want to follow up because Mr. Fergus used several times here at committee and in the past few days that you're a departing colleague. And so you've confirmed again that you are planning to seek, God willing, re-election in the next provincial election. But could you also confirm that you're going to be remaining a Liberal MPP? And then also with the leadership race done, you're still the parliamentary leader because the new leader does not have a seat, correct?
Yes, I am still a Liberal MPP, although they look at us as independents there. That's the story for another day because we don't have time for that in committee right now. Yes, currently I am, as I say, shepherding the flock in the legislature.
So you're the
a
parliamentary
legislative leader.
Okay.
And then in the new year, we're going to take a look at what we're going to do.
Have you had any communications with Mr. Fergus or his staff about your anticipated testimony before this committee today?
I have not talked to Mr. Fergus. I did talk to Mr. DeFosse 3 times. The first was to be informed of what happened, how I became aware the night of. Then midweek, he was just checking in, called me, checking, seeing how we're doing. I told him to express to Greg how badly I felt, and that I was available. I'd spoken to the media that I was available, and then just to confirm that I received my notice to come to committee later in the week.
Who else have you spoken to about your testimony here today? And the reason where I'm asking maybe with this is maybe who else, but specifically at the Ontario Liberal Party. So you were surprised by this video tribute over the weekend, but knowing you were coming here today as still parliamentary leader or as a member of the Ontario Liberal Party and kind of a key figure in this, who did you speak to at your party to ask some questions about what exactly happened here?
I only spoke to, the 3 people I spoke to were Steve Blay and Catherine McGarry, who were invited to this committee. And the committee, they weren't co-chairs, they're actually co-MCs. So subsequent to that, I think I spoke to Simon Tunstall very briefly because he was the CRO of the event. And the person best to come before the committee, I think he's coming here today, he's appearing by video. Then I spoke to Milton Chan. It wasn't about Milton Chan,
Milton Chan's legal counsel.
Who was legal counsel, who just simply informed me that the committee had accepted Mr. Tunstall and that he would be appearing here at committee.
Well, and the reason I ask is that we talk about the video originating and being in an intimate, private format, and nobody today has been able to say what that intimate event was, this private intimate event. It just never seemed to exist. So I could perhaps ask through you for the Ontario Liberal Party. It ended up from the Speaker's office 2 technicians at the Ontario Liberal Party to display on the screen, and it was obviously announced in some way that it was there. Would you be willing, and would the Ontario Liberal Party, when we talk about the production of documents and information and understanding the flow, the video file ended up from the Speaker's office to the party some way, would you be willing to provide?
Through my family, yeah.
Through
came back to family. Our family gathered everything, including all the pictures, the video from Dalton McGuinty, and sent it back.
So would you be willing for the Ontario Liberal Party to provide all emails, any records of communication, including text messages or instant messaging applications under the party's control or in and around and those that are involved with this issue concerning the video tribute, both in the lead up to getting the file, but then afterwards as well, the communications to understand what was communicated or how this happened? Would you be willing to do both the before the video tribute and after?
That will have to go to legal counsel of the party. I'm no longer leader of the party. And so I know that Mr. Tunstall will be appearing hereafter. So if you're going to make that request, I'd say that would be the most appropriate place to make that.
Well, yeah, the individual that's appearing next is trying to not come today and not appear.
Wait,
so I'm taking the opportunity to address this on the record as we can.
I am going to stop the clock. I am going to make sure for the matter in front of us stands. A letter was circulated. I can confirm that the individual is appearing, and as per what I saw was that members don't need them to appear based on what they can provide, but the individual is appearing. So let's stick to the facts and let's actually try to get to the bottom of determining how committee wants to suggest we move forward as a recommendation to the House and how that happens. But we will be fact-based here.
Well,
Mr. Duncan.
Point of order, if I could, without taking my time, like we received a letter that the individual did ask not to appear today. So I'm going on the fact that the individual asked not to. So I was taking the time to ask Mr. Fraser about this because I hadn't received anything since then. So just taking the opportunity to do that, and I've done that.
I'm going to answer your point of order as you want to refer to it as, and say the individual asked, did not receive a positive response because the notice for the meeting had been out, and the individual is on standby and will be appearing. The floor is back to yours for questions to Mr. Fraser that Mr. Fraser can actually answer.
Well, I say answer the question about asking the production of documents and taking that opportunity to make sure that request is gone to the Ontario Liberal Party for that information before the video tribute and the production of documents and the conversations afterwards as well, which I believe are important in framing the understanding of what that time flow was. So, Madam Chair, I will pass the rest of my time in the sense of where we will ask the next witness as well, but wanted to get that in to make sure it was put on the record, our desire to see that information and that production of those documents. Thank you.
And that's time. Would you like to? Yeah, Mr. Fraser, you got 15 seconds.
The witness will be appearing here. I think that's the most appropriate place for that question. And thank you. Understand.